One moment, please. This channel should be available.
Yeah, it's been like that for 1 moment already.
It's gonna break now because
Public Education Government Access Program.
Where's Miss Jerry tonight?
She's got 2 minutes yet.
It's not 6:30 yet.
6:29. She's
Well,
pushing the limits.
60 seconds to arrive. Makes for
I
a
see her
more
running.
dramatic entrance.
Where's my sister at?
Yeah, really.
There she is.
Your sister or Jerry?
Tammy. Tammy, come get this. Tamara,
Tamara.
come get this.
And then look at the text.
Please.
Do what your sister said. It's a little confusing.
That's
to
what you
me.
call jacket in there. It's one of those brain teasers.
Pam trying to decipher her taxes.
I tell her it's brain teasers so that you keep your brain active.
Yeah, but this is one of those I couldn't put together all the way. I'm like, don't quite think those numbers quite add up to what I'm looking for.
Text message or email?
I don't know what you sent me last.
It is time.
You got me
Okay.
confused, so.
Okay, is everybody ready?
And the Tito's.
Okay, we're going to call to order the regular city council meeting for October 28th. We'll start with the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, now Jerry's like,
It's
Now we
okay.
can find her. Yeah.
Send the chief of police out for her.
Do we have any changes to the agenda tonight?
yes, Mayor, we've got a couple things. One of them won't add anything to it, but there's just a resolution for the sale of the EDA lots. We didn't put a resolution on there for the vote for that. And then also, we're going to, at the end of staff reports or somewhere in there, we're going to talk a little bit about on November the 11th is a Monday. That would be our next meeting, and that is Veterans Day. So we're going to be having the meeting on Tuesday the 12th instead. And also to go along with that, we're going to be what's called canvassing the vote from November the 5th. So 4 of the 7 of you will be invited to that canvassing of the meeting. Anybody who's on the ballot can't be a part of that. So we're going to meet at 5:45 that evening. So if you want to
On the
move
12th, Tuesday the 12th, 5:45?
Yeah. So I'd like if we
I'll
could
make a
get-
motion to approve as amended.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Before we get started, I need to apologize to our charter fans out there because we're not sure. It says that everything is okay, but we're not seeing it on our screen, so we're hoping that everything is okay out there. In TV, our TV friends. Okay, so
Go ahead and open up the public hearing.
Okay, so we'll open up the public hearing for the sale of the EDA lots that are at 349 Second Street and 361 Second Street. Please.
So Tom's going to explain a little bit about what's going on, and then you can close the public hearing and then go ahead and vote on the sale of the property.
So we've had 2 lots on 2nd Street West. They just call it 2nd Street, and then we differentiate 2nd Street East. These 2 would be facing Central Park, just about where the tennis courts are. We tore down 2 older, dilapidated 2-story homes back, I don't know, 10 years ago, maybe not that long ago, on those 2 lots. Filled them in, and they have been for sale since that time. We relisted them last year. I think for a while they were listed at $25,000 each. I think last year we relisted them when the listing had expired, and we reduced the lots to $20,000. And or no, Drew, I'm sorry.
I don't believe they're ever at 25.
No,
I believe we had
we
them
had
at
'em at
15 each.
15
At one
each,
point, that was
correct.
probably about 5 years ago.
And then we reduced them to 10,000 each, so for a total of 20 is what we had them listed for. We received a purchase agreement for those initially for 5,000 each. And after doing kind of a, email survey of the EDA without responding all, I sent it out just to get their response back as to what their thoughts were, and overwhelmingly was to counter, and to counter at 7,500. That counter was accepted by the purchasers, or on the purchase agreement. We had that on our EDA meeting a couple weeks ago, or last week, time flies, and that was approved as well. And so that's why we called for the public hearing at our meeting, council meeting 2 weeks ago, to have it published for the full 2 weeks. Tonight is the open hearing for your blessing to approve that sale. It should close then in November. I have waited until I know for sure that everything is done to request then Matt Gross to put together a developer's agreement. We will have a developer's agreement. What has been approved or what has been agreed to is a 2-year, something to begin on those lots, and I've been assured that we'll see something most likely actually next spring beginning on one of the 2 lots, if not both at the same time.
Is it 2 separate things then going on those 2 lots, or one big thing?
It could be one, either or, and that's kind of the delay right now, is the purchasers have not decided whether they would maybe like to actually build on both lots their own home. If not, they would build initially a smaller home on one lot with the idea of then doing a duplicate on the other one. Either lot really would, putting them both together would at least give enough room to do a kind of a more modern sized style home these days. But one of the longer, not necessarily a tiny home, but a smaller footprint would certainly fit in each of those lots. I think with all the work that's being done in the park right across the street in the next year, those are going to be really a nice location. Yeah, Diane would love to live right across from the park.
Separately, I don't think they would meet the criteria for the city. I believe it's 110. Shane, I don't know if you can remember or not, but I've measured it probably a dozen times in the last few years, but I believe it's 100, 110 across the front on each one of them, and then it goes 150 back to the alleyway, but then there's a chunk that's taken out of there because there's a garage that's back there that's owned by a private party.
Open
You
it
want to
to,
you want to stay up there in
Open
case
it
there's
to-
any questions? Do you want to, Mary, you want to ask anybody else?
Anybody have any questions in the audience? Hearing none, I think we can move to a vote.
Nope, you gotta close it.
Oh, we gotta close the closed meeting, or close the public meeting, open up our regular meeting, and then we'll have a vote.
Motion first.
Yeah. Do you want one?
I'll make that motion, however you write it, Diane.
We have a first and a second. Any further discussion?
Oh, I just think this is a huge win-win situation for both the community, the neighborhood, and the prospective home builders. And it's been a blighted property for a long time. And I don't know how many years the city has had to mow those lots. So I heartily support this sale.
Anybody else?
Forgive me because I walked in late. But in the sale, is there the speculation
Yes.
of how soon they would have to? I just know we had
We're
discussed
gonna take a
that.
look at it when it closes, so I don't, 2 years should be right, if nothing, it'd be, yeah, we'll look at that, just to see if they need the spring of that following year, or whatever, so it wouldn't be more than 2.5 for sure.
Okay, are we ready for a roll call? Roll call, please.
Jeez.
Aye.
Arvisu,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Heinrichs,
Yes.
Jones,
Aye.
Van Dyke,
Aye.
Mayor Corbin.
Aye. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to talk about something that is not on the agenda?
Nobody else wants to. Okay. Well, we all gave Pledge of Allegiance, and
But first, my dear, you have to say your name and everything. and for
yeah,
the-
Russell
for the
Boyce
record.
at Tracy. I live on Morgan Street. Anyway, I'm also on the planning committee. Anyway, so I noticed that there's something coming up about marijuana, and I just want to remind people of their oath of office that you may have made. Every officer in the city, before entering upon duties or office, shall take an oath. And anyway, this, I'll quote it. It says, "I do solemnly swear to affirm to follow and support the laws, Constitution of the United States, the state of Minnesota, and the charter ordinance of the city of Tracy," and so forth. So bottom line is, you probably all remember taking this oath to be able to serve here. And my main point is that you're sworn to uphold the laws of the United States. And one of the laws that maybe you're all aware of is that, as it stands now, marijuana is illegal. And anybody who supports the idea of selling marijuana is guilty of a crime. And you're sworn to defend that. And so hopefully you all are quite aware of that. And even though the Justice Department may not be enforcing that law, it still is on the books, and you're sworn to follow that law. Okay? So that's one point. Last time I was talking about ducks, and there's some things in the laws or the rules of the city that are unclear. And I'm encouraging everybody to look carefully at those regulations. My point is, words are important, especially if they're in a statute or in a city regulation. And so I encourage you all, even though I gave you all a handout last time. It was a very tiny print, but I know you all can read it from another source. And please carefully look through that and see if you think it might need fixing. And of course, I make myself available if you want, as a committee, to make suggestions or on ordinance that might need to be updated or corrected. Okay, and one more minute I can say it was brought to my attention that there were 4 families prior to my making a request about poultry. I was told that there were four requests on the books, so that would make 5 if you include mine. And poultry can be pets or they can be eaten, and that brings to mind that we should support the idea of allowing people to have the poultry.
Thank you, Russell. That's the time. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
All right, and if I can address the point of order that I brought up last time. Mayor, you're the one that should interrupt me if somebody interrupts me, not anybody else. Do you agree with that?
Okay, point taken. Okay, my dear. Time's up.
Okay. Well, anyway, so I'm just saying that there's kind of some stuff in the news these days about people eating their pets. Well, anyway, I'm thinking that that might be a common thing in some cultures for that to happen. So we should be aware of that when we pass ordinances. So if you're going to modify an ordinance, please be aware that there are several families in the area that have a desire to have
Okay,
poultry.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the privilege of talking.
Does anybody else have anything that would like to talk about something that's not on the agenda? Okay. Moving on to the consent calendar.
I'll make a motion to approve the October 14th council minutes, approve municipal accounts payable and payroll without breakthrough beverage, approve municipal accounts receivable, and call for a public hearing on November 25th at 6:30 p.m. to amend City Code Section 8.30.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a first and second. Any discussion before we move on? Okay, roll call, please.
Van Dyke.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Hendricks.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Ibeson.
Yes.
And Teagues.
Aye.
And Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
I'll make a motion to approve municipal accounts payable to Breakthrough Beverage.
Second that.
Roll call, please.
Ibeson.
Yes.
Hendricks.
Aye.
Van Dyke.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Jones.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye. Does anybody have anything for mayor council communication?
Mayor, as the council representative on the Wheels Across the Prairie Museum Board, I would just like to highlight some of the really great things that the museum has gotten done in the last several months, including the 30 American flagpoles put up. We've fixed the roof on the log cabin. Got city water to the museum site, new septic system installed, siding on the railroad section house, electrical improvements. So just a few of the things. There's been really a lot of things that have gotten done at the Wheels site in recent months. So if you're driving by there, take a look.
You know, it's funny you say that because I just drove past there 4 times in the last hour and a half, and I thought to myself, boy, that's really looking nice over there. So
Yeah,
it's
it
good
really
you
is.
brought that up.
It's a real asset to the town.
Really thank the county too for putting in the money for the septic system or whatever they could. I thought that was very,
That was good.
very good of them.
Very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Very helpful.
Okay, anybody else have anything? We'll move on to staff reports. Tamara, would you like to go?
Favoritism.
There we go again.
Okay,
do a grandma thing and I'll be right back after
Huh?
I'm done. I say I go do a grandma thing quick and then I'll be right back. So September sales were pretty close to budget. Inventory, we were about 15,000 lower than budget. So we're starting the downhill climb. Our cash flow was up about 23,000. The main thing, one of the things we donated the $500 check. I gotta get you that picture. We donated the $500 check to the fire department that we won from the MMVA. This month, where Miller Lite is helping breast cancer, the stuff that's sold, there's a portion of it that goes back to breast cancer in the area. I think they're doing it with the Sanford thing in our area, actually. November 1st is National Beer Day, in case anybody wanted to know. We have a sale in the store that day. And looking to have a inventory reduction sale to start reducing the inventory. Again, I can't say kudos enough with our team that's out there right now. They're work really well together. They do it. I mean, they don't even have to be told what to do. They just all do stuff, and just really happy with our team we got going on right now. They all work together and it works out great. So anyways, anybody else have any questions?
Tam, you mentioned inventory reduction sale. I mean, you've got some merchandise that just hasn't been moving, and you just want to clear it out and make room for something else.
Yes.
Also, Seth, the reason that there was there wasn't as much inventory had to be bought because we had kind of talked about that before. Was it July or August where we bought ahead on some things to get in on some good discounts and that type of thing?
A couple of them, and actually I just did one just a couple months ago because that's one of our top sellers, and they offered an extra couple cases free, so it's kind of a no-brainer, so.
It's that whole
Might
thing
be a
of
little
being
over.
light on your feet and not worrying about the month-to-month P&L, looking at it quarterly or by the year end. And if something comes up to put some money in, she always keeps such a good eye on it. She finds something, it's going to cost, and then all of a sudden we've got 3-4 cases of something that she can sell that we wouldn't have had that was free. So you just have to wait for the profits sometimes. You just don't get it right away because you got to spend it to get it.
So yeah, we're actually like long on inventory right now, but it's stuff that we sell really well and eventually it'll even out in the wash kind of a thing.
Yeah, but your inventory doesn't ever get old,
No.
right? I
No,
mean,
it
it's not
doesn't.
like you're selling milk.
The beer can get old, but then they take it,
Oh.
the beer companies take it back kind of a thing, but the liquor part never gets old, but yeah.
The wine can too get old. Saw one.
Doesn't it
stay-
get better
saw-
with aging? As an-
Not when after it's in the bottle, no.
Oh, okay.
Generally not.
Okay.
Not the stuff in the cap.
And I kind of look at the reports and see like how many weeks it says it's going to take to sell something, and those are the things that we'll do a discount on kind of a thing.
All right.
Seth, I got you on my list of things to do to get you that picture. Okay,
Thank
I
you.
will be back later for that campus thing.
Thanks to you and your team, Tamara.
That ordinance about the
Leave nothing for you tonight if you don't want to.
Really?
Yep.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Chief, quickly, you want to go next, please? Is that all right, Mayor?
Well, I wanted him to go first.
Good evening. I'll answer any questions about the activity report if you have any. Basically, tonight I'd like to request to spend some money out of my budget, but it would have to be money that would be transferred from other areas that wouldn't be specifically designated for what we're talking about. This company has a really good deal on these radar signs for when you enter city limits. And I've been looking at these for a while, and this flyer came up, and I just happened to be traveling up towards the Brainerd area, and I saw 2 different cities that had these exact radar signs coming into town, and they look very nice. They got your attention. They made you realize how fast you were going, and it seemed that people were paying attention to them, and so I'd like to take advantage of this sale that they've got going on from here until I think it's in December. And so to pay for it, most of the money would come out of small tools for my budget, but there isn't quite enough there to outright pay for it. And so I'd like to transfer some of the money that we haven't spent in part-time wages all year. There's $8,000 sitting in part-time wage budget line item, and there's also money in other repairs and maintenance that hasn't been spent that won't be being spent before the end of the year that I foresee either. So there's still a couple thousand in that line item. So between the 3 line items, I would like to take advantage of the sale and get 3 of these radar signs for town. All that would be required from the city would be putting in the pipe or pole that they would be mounted on. These signs are self-sufficient. They're solar powered. Eventually 3-4 years down the road, we might have to put batteries in them to replace rechargeable deep cell type batteries. But that would be about the maintenance on them. So.
I want to be on the record as being very supportive of this. I've had concerns expressed, especially on the east side of town. As vehicles come into town, we have not an attractive nuisance, but we have Swift Lake Park, we have the softball diamonds, we have Horseshoe. And people that live in the neighborhood have commented they're very, very concerned we're going to have a tragedy eventually. So I think this would be wonderful. Hopefully it makes people aware, because they'll hit town doing 50, easy, it seems to me. And I don't sit there with a radar gun, but, they're really cruising when they come into town.
Did you want to tell them, Chief, where you were thinking about putting the three of them?
Originally, if this year taking advantage of the sale, I would like to put one on Highway 14 coming in from the west about at the museum property. One coming in from the east on Highway 14, either along the bike path there before the crosswalk, which would be out in front of Premium Plant Services, or even maybe just a little bit farther up if we wanted to put it into our city park there where the Horseshoe Park is. And then the other one I would like to put out on County Road 14 coming in from Walnut Grove. So we have the new housing addition right there on the corner, and those people have been relaying to me how fast people come into town and don't start slowing down until they get closer to the elementary school. So I think this would slow people down coming in from that way.
I've seen one of those signs coming in to Walnut Grove from the south and also going into Westbrook coming from the north, and it makes a difference.
To me, it does, yeah.
It's just a nice reminder.
And these,
Too bad you can't get a deal on 6.
can these be used for ticketing at all, or if you?
You can, no, not for ticketing, but you can upgrade the computers in them, and they will do surveys. So you could download the information as to how many cars passed, how many cars were over, how many cars were under, how many cars were. It's a $1,000 upgrade, but it's available to be done that. So these three signs are the three of them put together are $9,000. The bid was $9,350 with shipping. So.
I think those are three good spots. In a couple of the meetings that Chief Lichty and I have had, we put a couple of the county ones or the state ones out on Pine Street out there just to slow people down, and it's noticeable when you have those out there, in those twin homes out there, that they really see people speeding up too much coming from the high school side and then coming in from the Walnut Grove side. But when we put the sign up there, it's just a reminder for everybody to slow down.
So I have a question. Because it's on, two of them would be on state highway, do we have to get permission from somewhere at the state level to put these alongside the road or not?
Shane would probably know better about how do you do signage with the state.
I don't know how those portable, this is a trailer, right?
Nope, these
Oh,
are
permanent?
nope. These will be permanent. We'll have to put a pole in the ground to house them, and then the radar, the solar unit actually sits up on top of the sign.
I can get you some
Tom's got that
information,
contact,
but
yeah.
I've just been going through it with the sign that's on the resolution, and what we can do that. Be the same.
We can figure that. I thought of that this morning. I'm thinking, I wonder if we need to call somebody.
So if we were to be interested in that $1,000 upgrade, which could give us data that we could download, you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
That would bring the cost for the 3 to 12 grand.
Yeah, if you had that upgrade in each one of them, yes.
We'll have to take a look at that.
Yes, because before you order, I guess I'd like that discussed, if we could think about it and maybe discuss that.
What's your opinion on the information
What does
side
the
of it?
information do for you?
Nothing, just information.
It'd be a research. I don't know. That would be about it.
Probably,
I'm
Before you
not
spend-
pushing for the upgrade.
before you spent $3,000 for that, I'd rather see another one on the one coming on County Road.
11 from the north. We talked about that. If we like these and they work out well, then maybe next year we could budget for another 3 if they have the same promotion. And then do County Road 11 coming in from the north, County Road 14 coming in front of the elementary school, and then we could debate where we wanted the third one. Maybe on the Highline Road.
Especially if we see a difference, if we can create a habit, then maybe we can look at that next year right away.
Because when you said you were having 3, that's where I thought you were putting that one is on County Road 11.
But my only question, and I don't want to debate this further, if we had the information, then we'd know if it's helping or not. You know, if people are slowing down or whatnot. Without that, you're just, unless somebody sits there and watches.
I usually hit the brakes when I see one flashing at me.
I'm sure that's
I think
gonna
we'll
help.
get feedback from citizens if they're noticing a difference
Okay,
or not.
very good. Nice job.
We'll update you. It's not a vote tonight. It's something that would just be a budget amendment. And this was the right time when we went over his budget the last time, so.
Thank you, Chief.
Anything else?
No,
Good
thank
idea.
you.
Have a good night.
Do some sweet talking, maybe, since it's getting really close to the end of the year. They'll give you a really good deal and we can get one of them.
Sweet
Yeah.
talk.
We can only have
You're talking to.
Get four.
Jason, he can sweet talk.
I've never heard it.
All right, Val?
Just want to touch a little bit on the Minnesota Library Association conference that I went to last week. I was at that when I sent this in, so I didn't have this information yet. But one of the main reasons one of the main sessions that I was interested in attending was about the new ban on book bans, which you may have heard about in the news. And, you know, as with any new statute or anything, there's some interpretation that needs to be done, particularly because it says that material selections should be done by someone with a Master's of Library and Information Science or someone who's professionally trained in selection. Well, that's kind of that's not really well defined as who counts as a trained professional in, selecting materials. So there was some good discussion on that and, what that might mean for the librarians who don't have their MLIS degrees. And I will be taking a look at our collection development policy and our request for reconsideration policies and making sure that they comply with the new law. And I'll be having the library board go over that at the next meeting. But something else exciting is that in response to needing training in order to select materials, the state and our local library systems, they are responding by creating some training so that librarians can go on, access some free training, get a certificate, and then have something that says, I've taken this 6-hour course on collection development. So that was very exciting, and it will be really interesting to see what all develops out of that. There's only a couple of modules on there so far, but I think it's something that people are really excited about. So,
Did they talk about that at Rochester this past week?
yeah.
They did.
Yeah, those were the two things that I really, really wanted to attend for.
And is it going to be like a 6-hour course for you, or is there going to be like 60 hours, or?
I think the two that are on there right now are right in that 4 to 6 hour range. You don't have to do them all at once. So if I had, half an hour before I went for lunch or whatever and wanted to, do one, I could then come back the next day or whenever I next had time to do it. So, but yeah, I will be taking advantage of everything I can on there. So it's great. And then just wanted to touch on some grant writing things. We submitted our next round of the Minnesota Historical Society grants. This is a small grant and will be for $10,000 that we're asking for, and that would be for engineering costs associated with roof repairs on this building. So when we spoke to our design reviewer from MNHS, he told us that, for the tuck pointing, we don't really need to do the engineering work on that or much engineering work, and that he actually would help us put together the request for bids on that. But when it comes to roofing, that's a whole different story, and that will need some design work done. So that was submitted.
A little bit with that, we're looking at the potential of a 26, where it would be a $400,000 project where the city would come up with 100, and then we're hoping the Minnesota Historical will come up with a $300,000 grant so we could do the tuck pointing and then some of the roof up top is what we're looking for. So we had Shane up on the roof taking pictures, and we used some of those pictures on turning it in with the grant just to see what we need to do, because we want to ask for as much as we can, as many times as we can, but at the same time we got to have plans for a $400,000 project. You just can't say, well, we'll use the rest of it somehow. So Val's been fantastic with. Val's probably sick of me, but Val's fantastic with getting everything.
We getting any help from Ball Lake on these grants?
Yeah, we've had them on the phone multiple times with conference calls, and that's just another one that we're already well into. They don't really have a lot to do with it, but they were the ones that gave us a task order for the $10,000 that we're asking for from Minnesota Historical. So we won't have to pay for that.
And it will be in next summer, May is the preliminary application deadline that we're hoping that we'll be able to apply for the large grant then for completion of the work in 26 for the masonry and whatever portion of the roof that we can do.
26 will be here before you know it.
It will. And I also submitted a couple of letters of intent. Now, those aren't grant applications. They're just us saying we're planning to apply for this. You know, this is approximately what we're looking to do. So the first one was for the Safe Routes to School. We will receive the final report from our current consultant in November, I believe. Is that right?
Yep.
And so we'll be able to use that then to complete the full infrastructure grant application, which is due in January. But we've got our letter of intent in that we plan to apply. And the second one is for, I think this is a new program, the Transportation Assistance Grant. And we're hoping that one could potentially cover some or all of the cost of the new sidewalks at Central Park. So keep your fingers crossed on that one, because that would be very exciting. And then I have one more letter of intent to submit by Friday, and that one is for the Carbon Reduction Act, and that one would be for improvements to the Swift Lake Bike Trail, which we know needs to be reconstructed as well. So
essentially, it's how important Val and the great job that she does. It's not just thinking about what's going on this week and next month or even next year. This would be something where if we get approved for that grant, we have it in our budget for, I believe, $115,000 or $125,000 for 2025 to do an overlay on the bike path. So wouldn't it be nice in 2027 if we get that money right back? Mm-hmm. And we can do the work now. We can do the work now, get the grant taken care of, and then we'd be reimbursed that money in 2027.
Yes.
Isn't it 2027?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the type of work that she's doing on that now. She's looking ahead years in advance to see what we can do to make things better. You won't see it until 2 years from now.
And the nice thing too is that we can, instead of just doing one project and paying for all of it ourselves, we can potentially do 2 or 3 projects and just come up with matches. So we're really looking to spread the money that we have budgeted as far as it will possibly go.
And to answer your question again, George, even on something like that, Bollig is well aware. They're not doing a lot with it, but they're aware of what we're doing in case there's anything that they can do to help us.
Yeah, they're not really involved with these grants because they're things that we're well established in and know what we're doing pretty well. So, yeah. Any questions?
Thank you for all your hard work.
Well, I was impressed here with your craft grant.
Yes.
You want to say a little something about that?
Sure. So I think this is the 3rd or 4th year that Prairie Lands, which is our local multi-type, multi-county system that we belong to, they've been offering a craft grant. And this year I'll be doing some take-home kits about loom knitting. So I've purchased 30 round looms. and yarn and pom-poms and everything people need to make a hat. And it comes with a video that's on this Creative Bug platform that Prairie Lands actually pays for. So they give you a little bonus if you tie it in with Creative Bug. So I did that. And it's very exciting. It's actually something I know how to do really well. So if anyone has questions, I can actually help them.
And you've got 30 of those kits to give away then.
Yeah. Yep. And they will get to keep their looms and do additional projects with those if they would like. And yeah, I'm excited to, hopefully spark a new creative hobby in people.
Do you think anyone on the council would be capable of operating one of those looms?
Absolutely.
Why do you want one, Seth? Just go ahead and ask.
I'm deferring to George on that.
I think you can all do it.
Conflict of interest.
And you could have a new hat to wear. So.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Bill.
Tom, you want to go next? Yeah, back to Sander.
All right, I had within my report a number of things going on, a couple that I wanted to touch on. The Front Street Acres development, I had, I think Diane included within the packet, Bolig's initial 3 proposed concepts, and wanted to see if you had any comments or questions or anything about that. In the course of doing survey work, I wished after I found this out that they had placed stakes out there. They promised to come back and locate some of the pins, but they did find pins that actually indicated that we have beyond that fence line. If you've ever gone to the north part of that property, there's a fence line that goes east and west all the way across, and it kind of builds up to that point. There's a fence, it builds up, and then it drops off. Our property actually is 80 feet on the other side of the north side of that fence. It's been baled for a number of years. They were apprehensive in pounding stakes in there until we've contacted the individuals who have been bailing it. But I thought a long time ago when I looked at the geo mapping on the county's website that where they had our line was not the fence and was beyond that fence, and they've confirmed that. So next time they're in town with their survey crew, they were going to get in touch with us so we can meet out there and get a real clear idea where those spots are and know. But that actually does, in some sense, make it a little easier as that new property line goes to the east. It gets closer and closer to that great big ditch that drains the several of the watersheds, so that there's a potential we might not have to go across anybody else's property with additional drainage to take care of some of those needs out there. Certainly Bolig will be looking into that farther, but it was good news.
Because it's crushed now, the tile that's out there now is crushed and doesn't the water run through it, so.
So, Tom, that swale that kind of runs through the central livestock property, that would be kind of rerouted and routed, and like Jeff said, it's not draining now.
Correct. I think in visiting with Denny, Foltz has been a wealth of information about some of that. So that spur that goes into the old livestock yard would have had potentially a 40-foot easement on both sides of it. So center of that track would have had 40 feet. And when that was conveyed, that would be about the 80 feet to that fence line. And it does kind of match with that. So yes, we would be able to work with that swale that right at this point in time captures more of the. There is another culvert that actually goes underneath that, but as Jeff was saying, that's actually been buried in silt and it's not draining correctly either.
The old Montford pork buying station property, which is now owned by the Tracy Development Corporation. How is that zoned? Would that property, if it were developed for some commercial, would that be compatible with a new residential subdivision, or?
Well, there's a pretty good-sized buffer area between what we own and that property that is still actually owned by the property. Dale Johnson's been mowing that for a dozen years, but I don't know that other than somebody knows at the railroad that they're paying him to mow it, I don't know that they know they own it and what use there is for it. And that's that beautiful green space. So if you go east of our property line, which is kind of, there's a fence line and some volunteer trees, and go east of that, you're going to see this beautiful green grassy area, and then it goes up to where that Montfort is. That section through there is at least a buffer zone to anything that happens residential, but could, if we at some point in time can talk to the right people at the railroad, I don't know what could become of that, but that'd be a beautiful construction site too.
I doubt they would sell, railroads not tending to sell property, but they've been paying their bill because they don't use it.
Yeah, I can't.
But they pay their bill to have it mowed 10 times this summer.
Which railroad owns it?
The current, isn't that Canadian Pacific? I would assume that they still,
CP?
yeah. There's someplace along inside the city of Tracy is a dividing point, and I don't know where that comes in, but I got to believe it's farther west than where that site sits. So whoever has it coming in from the east, I would assume that that's part of their, but I think it's all CP. I've still been working with them. I've been assured by 2 governmental agencies that they've been contacted about our Center Street. And the materials to fix that have been ordered. I just know it's going to get into the winter, and then they're going to use winter as an excuse not to go out and fix that silly thing. So,
Doesn't that have to come through the county since it's on a county road?
if the county could lend more, power to that, great. But I mean, I've been in contact with the Railroad Safety Board out of Washington. They've sent out a representative to look at it. I don't know why, but they said they didn't see that there was any safety conditions. Evidently, I think all they're concerned about is safety conditions for the railroad. As long as the track works through there, I guess, whether we lose a tire or not isn't safety. But they did make a call, which I think kind of helps a little bit to get, or an email from that institution to Canadian Pacific probably means more than my phone calls week or monthly. But I keep calling them every month, and they look it up and say, oh, yeah, I see that. Thank you. So we'll get there.
Call again.
Any other questions on Front Street? I think right now we're kind of at that point of trying to decide which one of those proposed. And I haven't had a chance to talk with Shane as much, but I think some of this will be certainly Plan A, from my past experience, is the least expensive proposal because it's the least amount of streets and infrastructure.
Least amount of plowing for Shane, too.
So, Tom, it's, to cut to the chase, it's the consensus of you and the EDA board that area will be an attractive area for prospective home buyers, builders.
I guess I can't specifically, nobody from the EDA has objected at this point in time, and I think everybody is looking at that going, it matches so many of our, I mean, it's a perfect situation. We own it. Number one, we don't have to buy it from anyone.
The city owns it.
We already have, the city owns it, we already have a road with infrastructure for the initial about 9 lots or so there, which would really get us going. Jeff and I both have talked with Bolig just briefly, and I think what we probably will look into in the future is, in not too distant future, to get some additional ideas of whether that would make a good TIF district at some point in time in the future. But at this juncture, there's no plans for that, and I think the LS will sell. Sometimes you just need to get kind of the thing moving, and those 2 houses, if you haven't been over on Front Street, are looking fantastic, and I think that gets a lot of information. You'll see on the front page of the Sailor, which one, the Peach, in the upcoming edition will be pictures of that and a floor plan, and Jeff and I are doing an open house on the 6th, the day after 7th, day after election. That's the 6th or 7th. An open house here and at the sites for individuals that might be interested in discussing and looking at the plans and specs and talking about what the potential could be. So we hope that might drum up some interest.
I agree with you. Those two new houses going up, they look very attractive, and it changes the whole character of that neighborhood. It's really an enhancement.
Any other comments, questions?
Promoting that will be something that Tom and I will be doing the rest of this week, early next week. But we want to get, just like we did with the townhomes out here, you know, we're having an open house here where we'll have some plans laid out for people, handing them out. We'll have some flyers. It'll be in the newspaper. It was in the Peach. So we just want to get as many people as we can. It just doesn't have to be the people that are wanting to buy a house, but maybe know somebody that wants to buy a house.
So what the different concepts, the 3 concepts? Are you looking for input from us, or this is?
I guess
just an
questions, or if anybody
FYI?
looks at it and said they kind of have a preference one way or another. Once again, we haven't had a chance really to talk as a group with planning and zoning or any of that kind of stuff. But I just from my past experience in developing, I'm not sure whether that cul-de-sac is going to really be advantageous. Generally speaking, the additional cost of infrastructure and tar and everything to get 2 or 3 extra lots just doesn't weigh out. They're never really easy for street crews to clear either. They hate those. But we'll just see if it can additional lot or 2 without creating a lot of extra cost. We'll see.
If you start talking about cul-de-sac, Shane starts to shake violently, so we...
You can do that over bump outs too.
Yeah, bump outs. We might think about a roundabout on Highway 14 at some point in time too, as long as we're.
That's the state.
That's in 32.
Tom, you have any rough idea of what you'd have to charge for those lots after you get off the front street for utilities?
I think we'll need to do some kind of market studies a little bit just to see what they might bring. They're not going to bring what St. Michael, Albertville, or Rogers brings, or one of the cities up around the Twin Cities. But I think we need to get out of those, enough to build up a little bit of a war chest for creating additional lots going back into then the property. I think we have to weigh some of the cost of purchasing it, weighing against what we get in return as far as tax revenue. And I think that's the advantage of making those lots affordable as opposed to entertaining tax abatement. I think as we look at tax abatement going forward, sometimes we give out more than what the cost of an inexpensive lot might be, and I think we just have to weigh that out to see. With the value of these homes, it's not hard to get to $300,000 right now on any kind of entry-level home. So that's a little different than back when homes were $60,000 and $70,000. They didn't build up quite as much of a tax base as they do now.
They'll be here and done before you know it.
Any other questions, comments? I will wait for the sign recognition part until we get to that part in the resolutions. And I think that's everything that I had today.
Thank you. Shane, you want to? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
If we are down the road asked for input or whatever, I guess unless I'm missing it, I didn't see it, what the actual size of the lots are And not that I can't count on the 3 concepts how many there are, but even, that there's this many lots, this size.
When I counted through each of those, they all came within, I think, I'm going back from my memory here, I want to say potential C, or 3, was like 28 lots, and then it went down from 26, and then it went to 21. There was not much of a difference in total number of lots from one to the next, but the 2 that were the highest were the result of that cul-de-sac. And so if we pay X amount to build this cul-de-sac only to gain 2 lots, but the cost of building the cul-de-sac is more than what we could actually get from the 2 lots, you have to kind of weigh that out and say, does it make
There's
sense?
actually more lots on the cul-de-sac one?
No,
To get
less.
to the
I was just
cul-de-sac.
gonna say, I
Unless
thought,
you put a long street and then the cul-de-sac at the end to turn
The
around.
total number of lots in the whole potential. And I have not, I would say that they're all going to be, so if you see on concept, all the concepts really, concept 1, 2, and 3, way in the bottom right-hand corner, those 2 lots are our current lots, which are 120 by 130. Those are the smaller lots, really, as you look at the rest of the
The
concept.
first 2 are
The
right
the
here.
ones we have right now, and if you walk those lots and look how much space is in between the 2 houses that exist there and between that and the fence, those are, 120 gives you a lot of space.
They're still based on, what is it, Shane, for the minimum for a lot? Is it
12,000, isn't
is
it?
it 12,000 or was it,
12,000 square feet in an R1.
okay.
Which is 100 by 120 normally.
Yep.
So these are in excess of that. You get to about 120 by 130. I think as I figured these out, these are about just short of a 1/3 acre, each of them.
It's a good thing that we're talking about tax increment financing and that type of thing. It's a good thing that we're talking about it because we're not right there on it, but we still have some right on Front Street there. We're going to be able to put a few more of them up, but it's good to be able to talk about what we can do down the road to finance the roads and infrastructure as much as we can without taxing everybody in town too.
And so that development is also a part of Bolig's overall plan. It's factored into the total amount that they're seeking on down the line. And as I understand it, as grants come up that fit a certain potential, that'll probably be how we decide what our next opportunity, what our next priority is. If the money's there available, that's our next priority if we qualify for it. And this is one of them that they'll be working on, is the infrastructure out there. And that opens up maybe a few new avenues through not only deed, but also through some of the home programs through the state of Minnesota. It's a big push right now, affordable homes.
Tom talks to them a lot, but right now he's discussing with them, if we can get these 2 sold out there now, can we get another one put up right away? It'd be nice to be starting another one out there right away, but we'll have to sell these.
It's, for the individual looking at a new home, these are a great deal. We won't be able to duplicate them short of the program like this. I mean, these are $80,000 underneath what the actual cost was to build them.
They're going to be impressive, they really are.
hopefully you'll get some interest once people can actually see.
The bedroom,
I agree.
see the kitchen.
Yeah,
see-
because like we talked at the last meeting,
Yeah,
thinking it looks so small.
yeah, it does,
You know, until people can actually go in
Not small.
and visualize.
right.
Okay, this is where a bed would fit, and
And the Walnut Grove home, which is an identical one of these, Steve from Lumberyard did the plans for that one as well. They're identical. That one's nearly done. So we have one where somebody is really interested. We can get information of how to get the locks opened over in Walnut Grove. Those have flooring and cabinets and everything in, so they're very close. It'd be nice to be able to use those for a little while before they're sold as our go-to model.
spec house.
Yeah, and that's really helpful because you're right. From many people can't take a floor plan and visualize how big this is, so.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Shane, I think we're going to have you go next because we're going to go with Tyler and then he's going to go right into a resolution. We'll move one around.
Evening. It's been a while since I've been here, I feel like, but I guess we did start on the tennis court pavement removal today. It's substantially thicker than I initially had thought, but it's about a foot thick, but we're working through that. We have a little bit more to haul, but as far as coming out, it's not going so bad. So you'll see that going on right now. Street sweeping, when wind quits blowing, we're gonna continue on that. It started a little bit last Friday, but that's moving along. I'm sending out 502 letters tomorrow on the lead service line information. So anything that was unknown or had lead in it. So and it could be just a matter of the property owner didn't contact us to let us in or whatever. If we're not able to gain access or we don't know what one side or the other of the curb stop is, it's got to be considered unknown. So they're kind of assuming it's lead, but until we prove it otherwise. So anything that's unknown or lead lines are getting letters. So if you hear anything on that, you can send them my way and I can help educate them further on that. But the letter is pretty informative. It's 3 pages long. So
Shane, are those people that didn't respond to the requests of this summer, where people were supposed to look at their, where the water meter came in?
Yep.
And
it's not all non-responses. Some of them they responded, but we don't know. So on there's a customer side and then there's the city side. So it's a split ownership system. So if you go in and you can determine, from our street plans that, we have plastic, and then you go in the house and you find that it's copper. So then you can make the assumptions like, okay, there's no lead in the street and there's very likely no lead between the curb stop and the house. But if like it's copper coming into the house, but say we're on East Morgan Street, that road is put in, and originally utilities are from 1908. Okay, so lead's been on and off being used since 1908, and if we don't have records or we haven't excavated that particular property to know what material it is, we have to assume that it's lead. So there's going to be a few of those in there too. So, and that's part of that 552 letters. So we did have there's 2 or 3 that were confirmed lead that are still in existence, but which is pretty good community our size and age to have that little. There's cities with blocks and blocks of lead, substantially larger than ours that they're going to have to deal with through grants or whatever. So one-offs are a lot easier to deal with. During the street projects, we actually had a few more that we've had removed over the years during street projects. We adopted that ordinance back in 2021 where we send them a letter, we fix our side, then they fix their side. So there will be likely grants coming up in the future with all of this lead restrictions that they're putting on with the lead service line inventories. So we're kind of just going through the inventory process now so we can, the state, which trickles down to the federal government, knows this is a nationwide survey they're doing. So eventually it's going to trickle in some funding for the abatement of the lead later, but not sure exactly where that's at right now. So
And that's also on Bollig's list.
yes, and Bollig, we got a grant from MDH for Bollig to do all the inventories and go door to door for what response that we could get, and then they submitted that to MDH. Now I have to send these letters out and then certify that all these letters are sent out, and I have to send a certification form to the state, and then everything is done on our end for this at this point. So it's been a long summer with dealing with, there's a lot of services out there. There's a lot more than you think once you start putting them all on the spreadsheet. So,
There's a few of us that are folding letters tomorrow morning.
yeah.
The folding machine didn't work?
Oh, it did.
Oh, it did?
But we got to stuff them all yet, so. And label them all, so. I'd like to get them out tomorrow so they're done with, so. Any other questions with what's going on as of yet? I
Address
guess.
the swimming pool and the two things that were going to be within budget that we're still buying out there.
So, I just actually sent you a quote
Or did you?
for the pool slide and the diving well. The floor is about rusted through. And then the stairs also. I did a price quote for getting the pieces for it, and it was not too far off from a whole new structure, so we're just gonna replace that structure. I think it was 19,000, so.
Which structure's that?
It's that small slide that dumps into the diving well.
Right next to the diving board. It's all rusted through. Kids are cutting their toes on it, and it's getting that old and rusted, so.
So I was able to find the same structure, just 22 years newer. We have to do some modifications because they only make a right hand and we need a left hand, but they said we have to unbolt it and flip some things 90 degrees and 180 degrees, and said it'll be all better. So they got that figured out with their engineering department. But I think the other thing we looked at was the snake, and I sent an email out for that, to put in an 8-foot snake in.
Yeah.
So the snake would get replaced. It's a smaller snake, but and then the raft will go for a few more years yet. So
What is the present snake? Is it like a 12-foot?
16.
16?
Yeah.
Are we gonna,
And this is a what, 8?
8.
Oh,
They're expensive.
If you want a 16, what was it, 24 or 25,000
Yeah. 23,000, I think.
for a 16-foot snake? Versus, I don't know what this one is, 14,
Yeah.
12 and 14. Yeah, they're insane.
is there any salvage value with the old snake? Can we auction that off, or?
I mean, you can, but it's not really good for the pool. We actually had to pull it out for about a week to let it dry out and then reseal it back together.
But I wonder if someone who lives out on the lake or something would be interested in something like that.
It has to be anchored down, that's the hardest part, but I mean, if you could anchor it, I mean,
No, I'm not taking it.
we can,
well, those
I don't know, I
granddaughters
think-
would love it.
I think there would be, actually.
yeah, I mean, what we do with it, I don't know. If we want to put it on surplus sale, we can, but
Yeah.
it don't matter to me, so.
Last thing I'd like you just to talk a little bit about the Second Street project that we're going to be doing, we're going to have to do. Our hands have been forced about Second Street, where the service line's going into 3 different houses and
Oh, that one. I was thinking Second East. I don't know, what else is going up. We do have a situation, and we've put the provisions in to help correct it, because I actually knew about it early last year, but so Center Street project, we actually got a curb stop put in the last house that didn't have a curb stop. So we have a house, 552nd Street, that's feeding 551 Center and was it the 200 block?
Howlett.
It's like 285
Yeah.
Howlett Street.
Howlett, yeah.
Anyway, there's 3 houses right next to each other that are all tied together with one service line, and one has got a fairly stout delinquent bill on it. So our plan is to go in there and separate that. So we have the shut off on 2nd Street. They must have knew about this back in 2000 when they did 2nd Street, because they put a curb stop in, but they never hooked it up. So if you turn the curb stop on, it just shoots out of the ground. So we have a provisions for both of the other 2 houses to get their service lines connected to those 2 curb stops. The one we put in last year was Center Street, and the other one was, like I said, on 2nd Street when they did the project there. So we have 3 individual shut-offs, we don't have to dig in the street, but we just have to get some temporary easements, which I'm currently working on, to get in the yards and get it separated, so.
We're having to go through Matt to get the temporary easement so we can go in there and do what's right and so we don't have to shut down all 3 of the houses. We shut down the one that's not paying the bill.
And we got another leaking curb stop on 9th and another one to separate on Easy Street, so hopefully we can get all in before winter yet, but our vac truck, Friday, Sean said it's all together. We haven't taken it out and tried it yet. I think we had a couple little issues with it after we got it, the new pump and stuff put in, so there's some fittings that were put on wrong, so we had Jamie remachine them, so crossing our fingers it's good now, so, but then once everything's done with that and back in operation, then we're going to submit that to the insurance, see how much they are. We already have a claim out for it for the fire, so, but there's whatever caused the issue, they won't cover that. So if it's the pump that blew out or a hose or whatever they determine, then they won't cover that portion of it. But everything that was damaged by the fire, which was most of the hoses and some electrical and some air brake lines, they're going to cover all that. So, so right now, it's basically just fix what you need to. They give us the approval to repair it, because there isn't anything like it around to just replace it. So. Not for less than $500,000.
Okay. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thanks. What time
Thanks,
tomorrow
Shane.
morning?
8:15, I should be ready.
8:15.
Whoever wants to.
The fold.
Stuffing party.
Your stuffing party, yeah.
Bring out the nursing home, do an activity. All right, so I suppose the highlight in my report is the website upgrades. We've been speaking with Catalyst, who is, I think you call him the host for our website, or designer. They kind of do the templates and the design, and then Diane and Shane and Adam do updates to the website. But we're going to be doing like a complete overhaul on the website. We were pondering how to use up the EDA grant funds. That grant's ending end of February, I believe, right, Jeff? And we still have some 46 grand in that grant. And we thought, well, improvements to the city website is included on that grant, so why not use it? And
That's not the way it happened. I told him there's no way we're going to be able to use that money on that, and then he called them and begged, and they said, yeah, go ahead and use it.
So, yeah, we'll be starting on that soon. Jeff signed the contract and got that over to him, and now we're just waiting to hear back from the developers. And Tam already covered Boxcar.
So just to address that real quick. So the reason is, as you know, here in the last 3 years, we did an overhaul already. So, but by 2026, I think it's January 1st, 2026, all of our websites through a municipality have to be ADA compliant. So you got to be able to use the website and from a handicapped aspect. So there's all kinds of things that because they brought it to us going, when do you want to do that? And we found out that that's what we have to do, and they went, okay, where are we going to get this money? And that's when he went ahead and called about this thing, and they said that they would cover it. So we're going to get that kind of prepaid, so then it's going to cover it. So we will be ADA compliant by March or April. So it'll be something that we'll have had to do and pay for by January 1st of 26, and we're going to have it done. We're going to have it paid for us.
He also mentioned to us during our meetings that we'll have to switch to .gov soon. So that'll be a change sometime in the future, couple years.
Yep, it'll take a little bit of time. It won't be, we'll have to change it, and there's no choice, so.
So camping went great this year. It was about double what we made last year, and that's pretty much winding down. I don't see much revenue coming in October. And utilities, we've been doing great this year. Licensing was once again higher than last year, and to date we have 13,000 more than last year. And
so far, the city has received a great amount of donations for Central Park, and we did the first half of the payment for the playground, and so that's in process. I'm sure you've heard that before, but I'm excited that we'll be getting that new playground soon. The kids are going to love it. And that's about it. Any questions?
So if you don't mind, if there's no questions with that, since he's the last department head, can we move on to under the new one, it'd be the number 4, Resolution 2024. Is that all right, Mayor, that we do that? Let's go right to, in case there's any questions on that, number 4, Resolution 2024-97, third quarter budget amendments.
All right. Did everyone get a chance to read through that? Or should I just... Do you want me to read through the whole thing?
Recap it.
Okay. So, third quarter budget amendments. We'll be purchasing the Central Park playground equipment this year. Thus, the capital funds expense account for the parks needs to be increased significantly. It was only budgeted for $40,000, and now we're going to be purchasing a $186,000 playground. So we need to increase that. And we also need to increase the revenue account for donations, since we've received a large amount of donations. The expense account needs to be increased to pay for the income survey and also the Front Street engineering work being done by Bollig. And the management fees account in the public housing fund needs to be increased to pay for the gas line extension to the new houses on Front Street. And the revenue account for grants and aids from local government needs to be increased due to the $200,000 we received from Lyon County. And then lastly, the expense account for donations to civic organizations needs to be increased for the $20,000 donation that we made to the Wheels Across the Prairie Museum. Are there any questions or concerns on those?
Thanks, Tyler. Move on?
Okay. Yep.
All right, let's go to number 1 then. No, actually, let's you go ahead. You wanted to get up in front of the microphone anyway, didn't you?
No.
No? No.
So the general election is November 5th. And then the council has to canvass the results of the local race only, which is the council. The county suggested doing it the 12th, 13th, 14th, or 15th. Or if we're moving the council meeting from the 11th to the 12th, it would make more sense to do it at 5:45 on the 12th. Again, Brian, Seth, and George cannot participate. It is not a long process. It's just validating the numbers, and then we certify that to the county. So if you guys are cool with that, a motion will take care of that.
So would we just do that if we're moving our council meeting to the 12th? Would just do it like right before?
Yeah, instead of having another meeting, bringing you on another night, she thought of that. She said, why don't we just do it on the 12th when we were going to do that anyway, and we were going to vote on, to do it on the, having the meeting from the 11th to the 12th anyway, so.
Is 6 o'clock early enough? I mean, does it take 15, 20 minutes, or is it half hour that we have to do it, or?
Depends on how many questions you guys have.
I won't have any.
It might be.
You want
I
5?
said I won't have any questions.
Does 5:45 work, Jerry?
I'll just make whatever.
And for you?
On Tuesday.
Yeah.
If I could come.
5:45?
And you? So then I'll make a motion that we'll do the canvassing on November 12th at 5:45. Does that work?
Works.
And you wanted to change the meeting from the 11th to the 12th, add that to it?
No, we'll do that
Okay.
two separate.
Okay.
Two separate.
And do we need to know who it's going to be? We need to list who it's going to be doing the canvassing, or?
No.
Okay. second from somebody.
Second?
Oh, I'll second.
Okay, we have a first and second.
I have a question.
Assume you should abstain.
Do we vote on
You and Seth and George should abstain.
I'll ask it through in the.
So we have a first and second.
Who's the second? Okay.
The question George had is, do they need to,
I think they need to abstain from it. Yep, I was just telling
Okay.
Brian that, yeah.
we're ready for roll call?
Teets,
Aye.
Arvisu,
Yes.
Jones,
Aye.
and Mayor Corn.
Aye.
And then, with the holiday landing on the 11th,
So I'll make a motion to move the November 11th city council meeting to November 12th at the same time.
Second.
Roll call for that?
Teets,
Aye.
Arvisu,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Hendricks, Jones,
Aye.
Landay,
Aye.
Mayor Corman.
Aye. But, so I have a question. So when we did resolution 4, we never voted or anything on that. Do we not need to? Okay.
You can do that in order now that you have the information.
Okay.
on the item.
Okay.
Should we move on? Okay, let's start with number 1 then. Resolution 2024-94, ordering corrective action of conditions on the abatement of 674 3rd Street. So due to your urging and some discussion, alls we're doing is changing the resolution, or just adding a little corrective action to that resolution. If you remember right, we're going to be able to take that particular person to district court here in a month, and instead they have signed off already through communication through Matt Gross to let the city do that, so we don't have to spend the money to go to district court. And what you're signing off on is giving him till February the 3rd to get his personal belongings out of that house, and then we will take care of it. And he's also signed off on putting it onto his taxes, so we can put it right onto. So he's taking care of it on his taxes. So seems like a clean way of doing it. We don't have to go to court with it. Stays out of anywhere that it would be out there. So any questions with that at all?
So he has till February
3rd.
3rd.
Who would like to make that motion?
I will make the motion for Resolution 2024-94, ordering corrective action on conditions on RP 674 3rd Street.
I'll second.
Do we need any further discussion on that, or are we ready for roll call? Roll call, please.
Landay,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Hendricks,
Aye.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Arvisu,
Yes.
Teets,
Aye.
Mayor Corman.
Aye.
Okay, Resolution 2024-96, approval of Small Cities Development Program citizen participation. So
What about
instead of
95?
what's that?
What about number 2?
That is number 2 on the new one. I didn't say number 3, did I?
Yep.
A mistake that I said number 3, because I'm looking at an old one. That's something that we had crossed out. I'm sorry.
No
So,
problem.
but it is Resolution 2024-96, approval of Small Cities Development Program citizen participation. All you're doing here,
No.
No, 95.
90. No, I don't. I don't
Dennis
think so.
Morgan is 96.
Okay, yes. All right, 2024-95, approval of Small Cities Development Program citizens participation. What this is so we had done some work here within the city and with Bollig, getting some figures put together about what the citizens of Tracy with low income, and with that, we were able to apply for a grant. If we do get that grant for infrastructure, this resolution allows the citizens of Tracy to come in and look at, through a public hearing, will allow them to look at the update on that particular program and what we're going to do with that money when we get it, and then also just to come in and comment at another public hearing. So it'll be a series of 2 public hearings in the spring. That'll just allow the citizens to come up and talk about what's going into that program. And that is I can either read that or that 11 pages to you. So that's what it is. It's just allowing the citizens to have a public hearing so they can ask about the program.
I move that we adopt Resolution 2024-95, approval of SCDP citizen participation.
I'll second that.
Any discussion on that? Hearing none, can we have roll call?
Hendricks.
Aye.
Lambright.
Aye.
Teigs.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Arvisu.
Yes.
Jones.
Aye.
Mayor Corman.
Aye.
All right, Tom, you want to come up? Resolution 2024-96, approval of Dennis Morgan sign. I think that you've seen it all in your packet. Just taking a look at that, kind of looking for thoughts, first of all, on it. It is something that we had been working on for quite some time, but then we thought, well, let's bring it in front of the city council to make sure that we're all on the same page with it, if we can, please.
So I don't know where it began. I think Jeff had thought about it. I think Drew, maybe you've mentioned it to Drew, or Drew came to us. Drew Larson has ongoing kind of relationship conversation, does some work for Dennis Morgan. Dennis has some property just outside of the city limits and is in town from once in a while. And through the years has been encouraged and has been very receptive to the idea of doing more for his hometown, and part of this has been just to say, hey, you know what, it would be nice to recognize his accomplishments, and in so doing also kind of put out there that you know what, your dreams can become reality. And look, from the city of Tracy, an individual who hitchhiked to Nashville, and what he has done with his talent, and in that regard. I began then working with MnDOT. That's what I'd mentioned when Chief Lichty was talking about the signage. I got almost everything that you could possibly want and more of what you can and can't do in the right-of-way of the DOT. And we were given some ideas. One was to actually just latch onto the existing Welcome to Tracy sign with the population on both the east and west side of town. That green sign that's almost dilapidated now. I did get confirmation we have new signs coming sometime in the spring to replace those. So that'll be kind of almost maybe the same time. Then began the conversation through Drew to Dennis to see if he would be open to that. And initially we were told, no, he really wouldn't like that, and particularly as far as the sign on that. And you have to understand it's a different culture that he's been a part of, and the reason was one of his good friends, Willie Nelson, didn't like it when his hometown did it for him. For whatever reason, I don't know. But, you know, like I said, it's a different, different whole culture that, and so over the time we gave him about 3 or 4 different ideas. One was to just latch on to maybe the Welcome to Tracy big sign that's kind of over by the east side and west side by the museum, and maybe do something on it. And then we had a whole separate sign that could be erected someplace. And when all came down, he decided that he would rather have this. We went back and forth for a while on the signage. Initially, I had less lettering to it, which would be a little easier to read. The sign itself will be already preset by MnDOT. It cannot exceed a certain number of space. It'll be about the same size as that one that's out there right now. And so this is what was finally agreed upon, that Dennis was happy with the way this looked. And then we got pricing for it, and pricing was very reasonable. We have 2 quotes. The lower one would be under $125 for each sign. That's just to order the sign. We'll be asking Shane's crew to help us put that up. and we can do the installation ourselves.
Just add that a little bit, we'd like to do some kind of, the potential of maybe a ribbon cutting with something like that too. We have a date in mind that we'll discuss later.
I think it's a nice gesture.
I do too. It's a pretty unique story, the Dennis Morgan success story, so
I'd make a motion to approve Resolution 2024-96.
I'll second it.
Roll call, please.
Teagues.
Aye.
Alisu.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Hendricks.
Yes.
Schultz.
Aye.
Monday.
Aye.
Mayor Corman.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, just a couple left here. Resolution 2024-97, third quarter budget amendment. If we could get a motion to approve that.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2024-97 with third quarter budget amendments.
I'll second it.
Does anybody need any other discussion on that, or can we move on to roll call? Roll call.
Schultz.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Teagues.
Aye.
Monday.
Aye.
Hendricks.
Aye.
Alisu.
Yes.
Mayor Corman.
Aye.
Last one. Resolution 2024-98, delegating registration and land use zoning responsibility for cannabis retailers. So the only thing that we'd be doing by passing this resolution is we're allowing the county to set the ordinance for the county as opposed to us creating another new ordinance. And the county would be, what would be in this ordinance would be, if there was a retail business for cannabis here in the city of Tracy or Marshall or Minneota or Ballatin or Cottonwood, it would be how far that would have to be away from a school, away from a daycare, that type of thing. That's what we're looking for. I had a couple meetings with the county, and we're having ongoing meetings with the county about this. There's a lot more that's going to be coming out on January the 1st, and we're going to be learning more over the next 6 months about what's going to be going on, what we can do and what we can't do. So this isn't making any decisions one way or another on cannabis sales here in the city of Tracy. This just gives, if there ever was one, whether it was municipal or if it was privately owned, it would have rules and regulations on how far you can be, again, from schools, daycares, churches.
Mayor, can I make a comment on that?
Not,
No, this is a
Actually-
resolution.
it was,
Not on the resolution.
no, you would have had to do that during the public.
Just remind you of what I said earlier.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2024-98.
I'll second.
First and second, any further discussion from the council?
I would just like to note the memo that we got from John Buren, the Lyon County zoning administrator, where he states that the new state law does not allow for a local government entity to simply ban cannabis products from its jurisdiction. I think that's an important point.
Clarifying that.
First and second one.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, roll call.
Alisu.
Yes.
Schultz.
Aye.
Teagues.
Aye.
Monday.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Hendricks.
Yep.
Mayor Corman.
Aye.
Much more discussion. Okay.
Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you all for tonight. Sorry, I was reading off of 3 different versions of the.
Yeah, that was interesting, trying to follow you.
I was wanting that to be a different one.